What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Burrow. My name is Jacob, joined by Richard and JJ. Happy New Year. A new year that started off with an FAUW, which is what we'll get into today, as well as talk about the preview for the Charlotte 49ers. But both these gentlemen here in front of us were at the game last night. I was not as fortunate to do so. So, JJ, what has your experience been like this year? You've been going to a lot of games. So, what has your experience been like seeing all these FAU games in person?
The experience is good. Like, this year is packed. No matter if you're playing a really bad team or a really good team. Like, we have seen this arena have over 4,000 people for the Eastern Michigan game. And Eastern Michigan is not a great, you know, basketball team. No disrespect to them. They're under 500. So these fans are so passionate, and the atmosphere is just electric. I mean, you got the FAU sway going. You got the booing on the opposing team's free throws. To really paint the picture, everyone is just so happy, so emotional, and just cheering for this team so very well. And you gotta love to see it. How has it been like? It's been so fun because we're winning. We've lost one home game so far this season. We've won, like, I don't know, 6 in a row, 5 in a row at home. And, at home, there's been many games where we're trailing early and we just come back, and the fans get behind this FAU team and they just fully, cheer them on, and we come back in the second half. It happened with Charleston, it happened with East Carolina, and it's really cool to see how far this program has come.
It has. In Richard, I mean, you and I have gotten to see both sides of it. We've gone to FAU for our 4-year degrees, and now come out the other side. And early on, when we first started going to FAU, though, that stadium was not full at all. I mean, you could get basically whatever seat you wanted those first few years. There were some decent crowds every now and then. Like a couple years ago, we had University of Miami come in, and that was a pretty packed game. But otherwise, it's been half full at best for most of our time. So, just what's your experience been like? You've got to cover the Owls at the stadium while it's full, and now while it's like half full, and now when it's completely full. What has the vibe been like, the energy been like for you?
Regardless of Jacob, regardless of whether the amount of attendance were the many people that attended each and every game for either sport when it comes to football or basketball, the energy is still there from the fans. They always give it everything they've got, and it just simply shows humble beginnings. Even if a stadium/arena is not packed, the support will always be there. And with this recent success from the basketball team, it has expanded even further. It has exploded, and now we have a huge basketball fandom on FEU's campus. And even with winter break still going on, a lot of people made their way to the conference opener, which was very pleased to see, and seeing on nearly every seat in the arena be just taken. See, just packed. So it was very great to see FU pull out a win in front of the many fans who attended last night's game, and looking forward to even more home games for the rest of the home slate of the season.
Yeah, it was a decent win for FAU, winning 79-64 yesterday. Leading score for FAU was a combination between Elijah Martin and Janelle Davis. Both of them had 20 apiece. Vlad Golden got into double digits with 11. Brian Greenlee off the bench with 13 points. It was a very close game that FAU ultimately pulled away and made the score look a little bit bigger than it was most of the game. It was a game that FAU was down for most of the first half. It was very tight there in the second half. And then with like 4 minutes left to go, FAU really pulled away. So JJ, what was your overarching feeling coming away from that game, getting to see both the highs and the lows of that FAU team?
Yeah, I think we did just a phenomenal second half. Coach May obviously said that, the first half ECU was very hungry. They, showed why they ended up winning by 1 point in the first half. And Coach May said in his press conference at halftime that they were going to make some matchup adjustments at the half, and they absolutely did that, and it ended up working perfectly. Elijah and John L, as you mentioned, similar stat lines, both scoring 20% and shooting 50% from the field. Brian Greenlee brought a huge spark off the bench, scoring 8 straight points there. We were making some really clutch shots, some really clutch threes, and I thought that, this was obviously a bit of a sloppy performance, but we can get it done. And good teams find a way to win. This was not a great performance. This was not a top 20s team's performance. When you're playing a East Carolina team who's 500 or is now 500, was one game ahead, one game above 500, and you're trailing at halftime, it's obviously not ideal. You wanted this game to, I was fully expecting FAU to be super hungry and come out, wanting to win so bad because they just lost to FGCU on the road. And, after losses, you're supposed to come out really hungry and want to beat the brakes out of this team. And that was a bit concerning to me. I thought we played super sloppy in the first half, but obviously some great adjustments by the coaching staff, and the players executed in the second half.
There could be two ways you really look at this. You could look at it in the sense that, we were losing or had a really close ball game for most of this game with a team in ECU who is at 500 now after this loss, or you look at it as, you look at that Bryant game kind of very similarly, where you're really close / losing most of the game and unable to get it done. This time ended up being a 15-point margin of victory for FAU. So Richard, which side of the coin do you lay on? Are you a little concerned about how we just lost FGCU and couldn't quite put away ECU till the end of the game? Or do you look at this in the positive that we were able to overcome adversity and get the game done?
Well, Jacob, there are some things that I do agree with about JJ. The first half, they were a bit slow, similar to how they played against FGCU, which was a bit of a concern. And it definitely didn't help that East Carolina was on fire from 3 to begin the game. But of course, I was confident that they were going to cool down in the second half, and they did. I proved you wrong, JJ, when you talked to me at halftime, and you said they're shooting lights out from 3. How are we gonna stop them? And I'm saying they're gonna cool down. Just watch, and they did. Especially in the last 5 minutes of the game, where they only scored 1 point, while the Owls outscored them 14-1. So, hey, the Owls came through in the clutch, and that's all that matters. And shout out to Brian Greenlee for a spectacular performance off the bench.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I was in my seats first half. I come over to the media table, to get your thoughts on the first half, and I say they're shooting lights out, and you say this is FAU is gonna win this game. They are a second half team, and they're gonna come out. And ECU is 33% from 3, and they're shooting 31% from 3, and they're shooting crazy good, and they can't keep that up, and they're not. And you scripted the entire second half perfectly, and that is why I think FAU won, because ECU was shooting lights out in the first half, and we slowed that down in the second half. Let's go.
Yeah, and to add another point to it, the Owls at their best when they're playing fast and when they're taking advantage of the transition and when they're going on the fast break. If you look at one of their stats, they outscored ECU 15-2 in fast break points. That should be a point that they have to emphasize moving forward. They were excellent on the transition last year, and they have to keep that up this year, especially if they're returning nearly everybody, all but one player from last year. You have to take advantage of the transition in every way possible. If you get a steal, go on the transition. If you get a block, get that ball and go on the transition. You guys are more than capable of playing fast, especially if you're big men, especially like Golden, who is more than capable of being mobile on the court. Same goes for Rosado and Lorient. You got to go fast and get out on the transition.
Something I actually wanted to talk about was Vlad Golden, and we've talked about how on the offensive side, how he's developed his game. He's hit a few jump shots. He feels very comfortable at the rim with both hands, can finish with a soft touch, or can also try to take the rim down. But a lot of the questions revolving around Vlad Golden has been on the defensive side of the ball and how he's found himself in foul trouble a lot this season. Uh, kind of saw the complete opposite of that yesterday. Didn't pick up a single foul. However, at the beginning of the second half, there was a run where ECU just kept going at him, and it seemed like every time they did that, they came away with some sort of points. So we see the aggressive side of him lead to fouls, having to be pulled out of the game for Giancarlo Rosado. And then yesterday, a little bit more of a timid defensive performance. The opposing team was able to go at him and score almost at will. So, JJ, kind of a two-parter here. Does that concern you? Because it feels like FAU doesn't really know how to play Vlad defensively. So does that concern you? And then what do you think the best option is for Vlad going forward, whether that be stay aggressive or play a little bit more on the more less aggressive side on defense?
Yeah, great question. So, in my opinion, you have to find the happy medium, the in between, sort of thing where you're not too aggressive to the point where you are fouling out, but you're also not too timid where you're leaving guys wide open to make easy layups. Vlad Golden has to find that middle where, it's fine if he has 2 or 3 fouls a game. It's fine if he is aggressive, but we can't have the best big in the AAC, not be aggressive. When Vlad is playing offense, as you mentioned, he's special. He's so good in the paint. He has a beautiful touch on both hands. He's been shooting the jump shot well. He gets to the block inside the lane very well. And, he's someone who you need if you're trying to win basketball games. And what I would like to see is Vlad Golden keep his hands up and not foul, because you want to be aggressive. You want to keep your hands up. You want to try to get blocks off shots, which is one of Vlad Golden's strengths. But also, you don't want to be too aggressive to the point where you're fouling out and putting guys on the opposing teams to the charity strike. You cannot do that if you're Vlad Golden. And he's going to continue to work on it, and he's going to improve.
I don't think we have an answer one way or another as to what his defensive outlook is going to look like for the rest of the season, but we're going to have a very strong test for him moving on into this Charlotte game. The Charlotte team that starts two big men that are both at 6'10 and above, that play very different styles of basketball. And Deshaun Jackson, he's 6'10, 260 pounds, a little bit more of a bruiser. And then Igor Milicic, who is 6'11, but can stretch the floor 37% from the 3-point line, 86% from the free throw stripe. So someone who's very comfortable with the ball in his hands outside, and then you have a traditional big man down low. So Richard, going into this game where you're playing against Charlotte, two very good bigs, number 2, number 3 scorer on the team, how do you think FAU is going to try to handle these two big men?
It's definitely going to be an interesting task for the Owls. One of the main weaknesses for Charlotte is they are kind of limited offensively. They are scoring under 70 points a game, which is a major weakness that FAU could exploit should they go on a big run throughout Saturday's game. But yeah, with two of their guys in the starting lineup being taller than everyone on FAU's starting lineup except for Vlad Golden, they could consider a potential change, like for more size, maybe Rosado, maybe Lorient, or maybe Trey Carroll to like increase your size, but also keep your shooting offensive ability intact. It would be worth seeing Trey Carroll get some more playing time with his offensive ability while being able to match up well with the bigger guys in Charlotte's starting five. So it will definitely be interesting to see what the Owls decide to test, because they can't. Because they are capable of switching things up a bit, especially if they feel that it's best to be on par with what they're presenting from their starting five, and then matching up with what we have, with what FAU has on their starting five. So, like, balancing out the advantages, the disadvantages, that should be the main task when it comes to nullifying what those two guys on FAU's in Charlotte's starting five are capable of.
And we have two big men of our own that do very different things with what they do on the offensive side of the floor with Giancarlo Rosado and Vlad Golden. And we've seen more time this year where they've been on the floor together. And if I'm not mistaken, they actually started together yesterday. And is that something, JJ, that you'd like to see more? FAU traditionally go with a 4-guard, 1 big man look. But especially in a game like this, would you like to see those 2 bigs and potentially, like Richard said, our other bigs on the team on the floor together?
Most definitely. I have been preaching this since last November, where we start with Vlad Golden and Giancarlo Rosado. You want your 5 best players starting, and that is your 3 guards in Elijah Martin, John L. Davis, and Jalen Gaffney. And you want Vlad Golden and Giancarlo Rosado, the 2-man big. Now, we shouldn't have problems with Charlotte. And, you can't really say that because, because of the games with FGCU and Bryant, where you thought it was going to be an easy win. But no disrespect, that Charlotte is a less talented team than FAU. But you still want to get experience for the tournament, because we know teams in the tournament are big. They are big. They have size. They play with 2 or 3 bigs. Now, one of the things that hurt FAU in the tournament was rebounding. Against San Diego State, they weren't able to get rebounds, all free throws, and not just that, just all rebounds in total. FAU has never lost a game once last season where they won the rebounding battle. In every game they lost the rebounding battle. How do you get more rebounds? Size. Giancarlo Rosado and Vlad Golden need to both play at the same time the entire game for FAU. Yes, I understand that you need a backup big for Vlad Golden, and you were worried about that. Trey Carroll, Brennan Laurier. Yes, I know Trey Carroll is a 3-4 guy who, is a little smaller than what an average big is, but he can shoot the 3 and he brings immense size. Brennan Laurier, someone who is 6'8", a top 200 player at a high school, someone who's super athletic, can get to the rack really well, and can play great defense. So I just don't understand. I don't understand what the point is of not playing Vlad Golden and Giancarlo Rosado at the same time. If you are a basketball team, you need the 5 best players at the same time. And to end games off, last season, you had Vlad and Giancarlo at the same time. So to end games off, why are you playing that lineup to end games off, but not to start? I get you want a backup big on the bench when they get tired. But also, one thing extra that helps more about this lineup is it'll take pressure off Vlad, and Vlad is going to end up getting less fouls. If he has someone like Giancarlo Rosado, who is the primary, defender on this FAU team, if you have someone like Giancarlo Rosado, it'll take some fouls off Vlad. Vlad will not have to guard inside the paint the entire game while he's on the floor. And FAU needs this lineup immediately if they want to win this NCAA 2024 National Championship. So please get it, Dusty. Please.
The Battle of the Boards. The Battle of the Boards. I hope he's watching. If you are, hi. The Battle of the Boards is something that's going to be a massive watch all game long, with Charlotte having the second leading rebounder in all of the AAC, with Milicic with his 9 rebounds per game. Vlad just passed Janelle Davis yesterday in leading rebounding on the team, averaging 7 per game. So that's going to be something to watch. But another mark to watch on Charlotte's side is, I believe I'm saying this correct, Lasai Patterson, their leading scorer, 14 points per game, 6'2" guard, likes to get a lot of his work going to the basket. Their leading 3-point shooter is their tallest guy on the team with Igor Milicic. So one of their smaller guys on the team likes to get their work done at the basket in Patterson. Richard, what do you know about this guy?
Well, he's definitely one of the more aggressive players on the offensive side of the ball. Like, No matter what, he's going to get shots up. Whether he makes or misses them doesn't matter. He's going to take shots, whether it's inside the arc, beyond the arc, or going inside the paint to draw fouls to get to the free throw line, which he's more than capable of getting a couple a game. And he's the main guy that FU should keep in check. And when it comes down to it, they should be wary of him on defense. He has 17 steals, which is more over a steal per game. And he's going to play the most minutes out of anybody on the court, 33 minutes of action per game. So he's a player that Dusty and the coaching staff and all the players should have tabs on at all times. Deny him the ball, limit the amount of chances he could create with his shot-making ability, and force other players on Charlotte's team to contribute. After 6 guys who score at least 6 points a game, everybody's 4 points or under. Force somebody else to contribute that is not named Lusai Patterson, alongside Igor Milicic as well, who is capable of stretching the floor with his 3-point shooting and his ability to rebound the ball at an aggressive level. So keep those 2 guys in check, and FU shouldn't get this matchup pretty comfortably, as I should say.
This is the second matchup that we've had in the AAC. Obviously, yesterday winning our first game. Charlotte's going to be on a little bit of a revenge tour as we quite destroyed them in football this year. And getting destroyed by the FAU football team is not something that you said a lot this year. So Charlotte has a little bit of pride on their end, as well as welcoming in a Final Four team. They found themselves, they've already lost their first game in the AAC this year. They lost to SMU, who's currently second in the conference. So they're looking to rebound off that first loss. We're looking to continue our momentum after our first win. So with all that being said, we always like to go to JJ first. Actually, do we go to JJ first or do we go to Richard first? I don't know. We're going to Richard first. Richard, how do you think the game's going to go?
Well, for the last game, I predicted a 15-point win. FU wins by 15. For this game against Charlotte, considering their offensive limitations, I do think FU has to be wary of Charlotte's 3-point shooting, especially since they have a big man who is capable of knocking down multiple threes a night. But nonetheless, I think FU runs away with this by 20. Give me FAU 85-65.
JJ, the floor is yours.
I have thought about this decision for a very long time. I have been in my brain, is this going to be a blowout? Or is this going to be sort of a closer game than one may think, because we've seen it before. We've seen it multiple times before how this Charlotte basketball team is how this FAU basketball team is struggling with weaker opponents. And are they going to do it? Are they not? They are not going to struggle with Charlotte. This is the breakaway game that FAU needs to have, and they need to win to get back inside that top 15 and be a contender for that 3 seed. Right now, we're on the 4 line. The ultimate goal is to get a top 2 seed. You need this win. If you lose this game, you're looking at 4 quad 4 losses. Actually, it's quad 3 because we're what? 4. So 2 quad 4s and 1 quad 3. No, not happening. Not happening. Give me the Owls in this game. We're going to see a lot of Giancarlo Rosado and Vlad Golden. And we saw that against FGCU late, and it worked. And, Coach, I know you're watching, Dusty. I know you are listening to me. Please put these 2 on the floor at the same time, and we will win this game by 22 points. Some common opponents Charlotte has played that are inside the top 20. Duke is a team that Charlotte beat by 27 points. They're very, very similar to FAU. They have 4 really good guards and 1 really good big. Give me the Owls 83-61. 22 points. Breakaway game. FAU will be inside the top 15 on Monday.
What happens if they are not in the top 15, JJ?
You know, I'm a professional hater of AP voters because they have disrespected us this entire season. You know, I like the poll comes out, FAU is 10. I'm first week. I said it, I've never been more confused in my life. This is a top 5 basketball team who plays up to competition, but also plays down to competition. Where you play Arizona, you play Texas A&M, you play Butler, and other than Illinois, if two guys didn't have 30 plus and they have a miracle type game against a top 10 team in Illinois, you would have won that game too. So this FAU team, when they're focused, when their energy levels are up, when they are fired up, is a top 5 team. So if they are not inside the top 15, I declare war on the AP voters. Make me an AP voter, I'll get it right. You know, the poll that matters most is the FAU Owl's Nest poll. That's more important than the AP poll. Go check it out. Sundays, late Sunday, 7:30, around that time. It matters more. We had FAU coming in at 14 this week, which is about the right spot. We had them at 5 the week before. We thought that FGCU lost. We valued that. We think that FAU is a top 15 team right now. If you beat East Carolina and beat Charlotte and go 2-0 this week, you become higher. So check out the JJ Mets FAU Owl's Nest poll. That matters more than the AP poll. And I declare war if we're not inside the top 15.
Whenever we go to JJ, and especially around his predictions, which did he even give his prediction? I'm not really sure.
83 to 61.
83-61. I don't know if look, every time we go to JJ, you don't really know what he's gonna say. But declaring war on the AP poll, now that'd be something I would love to see one day. I'm gonna go with I think everybody's still gonna struggle. I can see it being a very physical game. Charlotte's only allowed above 80 points twice so far this season. One time that was to Duke. I think this can be a very physical game. FAU has struggled a little bit on the offensive end the last few games, but I still have FAU pulling away, kind of similar to last game, pulling away at the end, going 2-0 in conference. I'm going to go with FAU 77, Charlotte 69. Close game, FAU pulling away at the end. Let us know your score predictions down below in the comments. That is all that we have for you guys today. We really appreciate you. If you want to find more FAU content, you can hit that subscribe button as we come out with content just about every single day over here on the FAU Owl's Nest YouTube channel, or you can go to FAUOwlsNest.com where you can see what JJ was just talking about, see some of his stuff over there, see some of Richard's stuff over there at FAUOwlsNest.com. So please go there, check out. Till then, we'll see you guys next Wednesday with the preview against who we're playing next week, against Tulane. Tulane and UAB. So we will see y'all then. Till then, have a great rest of your day. Go Owls, everybody.
Go Owls.